Welcome to the fourth episode of Tirana Talks here on the Albanian National Radio and Television. Today we're delving into a topic that deeply resonates with many of us, youth engagement in the future of Europe. What does it mean to navigate the ever-evolving European landscape as a young person today? How do we balance the weight of politics, the urgency of change, as well as the realities of our generation? Now, to explore this, I'm joined by an excellent guest, Carlota Migliore, my friend and colleague at the College of Europe campus in Tirana. Carlota, coming from Albania's neighboring country across the sea, Italy, and specifically from Sicily, so two Mediterraneans here, she will bring an Italian as well as a European perspective to our discussion, and together we'll examine how young people today perceive and shape Europe's future. Carlota, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Denajda. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. Thank you for inviting me to share my perspective as another Mediterranean in Albania.
Okay, so Carlota, I want to start our discussion with a quote that you shared with me some time ago, as one of your faves, actually. Il faut cultiver son jardin. By Voltaire, which basically translates into one must cultivate their own garden. We even brought it up recently, and it really stayed with me. What are your reflections on it?
Thank you for bringing it up. It's indeed one of my favorite quotes, and it's from Candide of Voltaire. And it's a little bit the wrap-up of the whole essay book. And when Candide, the protagonist, makes a lot of different experiences, he learns at the end that the most important thing, the philosophy of life, is to cultivate your own garden. And by garden, one means your passions, your interests, your own life in the proximity of your things. And I think it's a powerful motto, especially in these times, in which young people feel powerless regarding what's going on in the world, the global situation. They feel like they don't have a power, and also this relates to the new asset that we have with social media, where there is a new kind of sociality which makes younger people isolated. So I think it's a powerful call for young people to know that everything starts through taking action in your own garden, in what's near to you. And by taking a small action, step by step, you can achieve things. So you don't need necessarily to get out of your comfort zone, but you need to take steps. And I think that's powerful.
True. A powerful message. And actually, I love how this quote connects personal responsibility with growth, because I believe that we are our own actions and we have to take care of our actions. And basically now I'm summarizing the core philosophy of Jean-Paul Sartre. So I'm already loving our discussion. But let's keep moving forward. So Carlota, what inspired you to study at the College of Europe in Tirana that focuses on the Western Balkans and the EU? What's your academic background and what brought you here?
So I studied, I have a background in law and political science from Trento University in Italy, and I spent the last year of my studies in Paris at La Sorbonne. I was taking a class at La Sorbonne in Politique de l'Union Européenne, so politics of the European Union. Mm-hmm. And we started with the enlargement of the European Union under the academic point of view. This theme deeply resonated with my interests, with what I call my hobby, which is foreign policy and geography. And I was looking in that period to apply to College of Europe, which is an established institution. And when I saw that it opened its first campus in Tirana, I really felt like I wanted to be part of the transformative process that is going on in this moment.
So you had no doubts that it'll be Tirana?
I only applied to Tirana.
Okay.
So yes, because I am passionate about the region, about the social and political transformations that are ongoing. Mm-hmm. And I told myself, I want to engage in this dialogue. I want to engage in this meeting between European Union and the region, bringing the other perspective also, because in addition, I am Sicilian, as you said at the beginning, and I was born and raised near the Arberesh community.
Yeah.
So I am familiar with the culture, and I thought it would be an unparalleled opportunity for me to come to live in the region. And for me to be at the College of Europe campus in Tirana, it's before anything else a matter of belief in a project. So yeah, to answer your question, no doubt that it would be Tirana.
And how would you describe the Arbëresh community, given that you mentioned it? Do you have many Albanian friends from the Arbëresh community?
I have Albanian friends, and I spent some part of my life there, never living there, but I am an horse rider. And this is where my main center was. My instructor was from the Arbëresh community. So this is how I get to know. I got in touch with the community. My dad worked in the community, so I would describe it.
Interesting.
Yeah, they are still very in touch with their roots. They speak Albanian. It's a little bit different from what I understood than Albanian, which is spoken in the region. It is, but they feel their roots very much. And politically, they are also a little bit on their own. They have different beliefs than their surroundings, let's say. So it's a community that managed to preserve itself.
That is true. One of the most beautiful things is to preserve your heritage and the roots where you come from. But let's bounce back into our discussion. Was there a moment in your whole life that made you change your trajectory? A particular moment, a story that basically changed your point of view and your direction?
In a way, yes. And as I said at the beginning, I really believe in action, which is inspired by belief, of course. But in my case, the action that changed my trajectory was taking part in a summer school in Prague. I always reflect about how some experiences might seem normal or of little value to some, but for those who live it have a big impact on their lives. And in my case, this summer school in Prague changed the trajectory of my life, because I was graduating from law school and I was about to start my master's in political science. For the first time in my life, I was the only Italian in a context of 120 students and young professionals from literally all over the world, and professors, administration. As a young person, having the chance to engage with diplomats, NATO members, renowned professor, inspired me. And in that context, where again I was the only Italian, so I was the only one person bringing that specific perspective, I engaged with some girls that are still my dear friends these days, and they were just a couple of years older than me, coming from different countries, but I saw that they were already in diplomacy, working for governments, having a voice. And this experience made me think that I could do the same. After this, I graduated my law school, went in political science, started working for an NGO, and now I am in Tirana. So.
Yes. Literally getting inspired by people.
Yes.
But continuing along this line, I'm curious to know, how has your journey, both academically and personally, shaped your view of the EU's future?
That's an interesting question indeed, because I was lucky enough to live in different parts of Europe, starting from Sicily, then I lived in Trento, which is near Austria, and then I lived in Paris, now I am in Albania. And why is this important? Because these places correspond to different stages of the EU project, or if we want to use a technical term of Europeanization, you know. So I think my belief is that in presence of a political willingness and support from the people, the Europeanization project is unavoidable. This opinion of mine might sound very debatable these days, especially when far right is resurfacing pretty much everywhere in Europe and in the world. And some might argue that the new configuration of Europe is going to be unity in disunity. But on the other hand, what I see is that for the first time, Europe is trying to reassert itself on the international scene in a way which is unparalleled. So yes, it's true that Europe is taking hits, but is responding. So this is the reason which leads to my conclusion. I don't know. It's hard to predict how it's going to evolve eventually, but I see that Europe was touched in its emotions. The people of Europe were touched in their emotions, and I see a reawakening of Europe, which in my life I had never seen before.
And are young people part of this reawakening? So do you think that young people today, they feel genuinely involved and engaged with European politics, or is there a sense of detachment?
I think it really depends from the context, from the place, and from the topic. If I have to talk about my experience, I remember that back in 2019, in Italy, people were very politically active because it was the time of the environmental issues. It was the peak of the Greta Thunberg movement. So I remember people protesting, people believing, people campaigning. After this, I saw a little bit of declining, maybe due to pandemics. The pandemics really impacted the life of young people, and maybe this led to some sort of disengagement, especially because in Italy there is this concept that we call qualunquismo, which is some sort of indifference or even scorn against politics, which is typical of people and unfortunately also of young people. But it really depends on the context. It really depends on the people. I also know people that are very engaged, that are informed, that do traineeships because they believe in the project. And on the other hand, if I were to talk about what I'm seeing here in the Western Balkans, because yes, it's true that I live in Albania, but I'm having the chance to engage with people from the whole region. We had the chance to visit other neighboring countries. So what I see is that youth is more or less more engaged in European Union politics because they are touched in the first place by these changes that are ongoing. It's not that, for instance, in Italy, young people are not touched, but there is more a sense of detachment, I would say, qualunquismo indeed. It's more niche in a way. Here it's mainstream because it's what's going on. It's what's impacting the lives of the younger generation. And honestly, I admire their spirit very much. I think it's an enthusiastic spirit. I admire them a lot.
To be honest, I would say that even in the Western Balkans, you can find the two sides of the picture. So there are young people who are really involved and who are really engaged and very active. But there is also kind of a gap, I would say, among another group of young people. But to support your conclusions, your previous conclusions about what you said, I was reading a bit some of the statistical data following the EU elections, and the 2024 European elections witnessed a decline in voter turnout among young people under 25. And actually only 36% of eligible voters in the age group participated, marking a 6% decrease from the elections of 2019. And basically it proves what you said. Maybe young people, they are more sensitive to environmental issues and climate change. But what do you think are the other gaps, like the other factors that have led young people in Europe to be a bit more disengaged and not that involved?
I think, as I was touching upon briefly before, disengagement comes from
pandemic, okay,
comes
yes,
from the times
it might
we're
be one of
living
the
in,
factors,
but also, so I think this is an important factor, and I think also maybe young people, if I were to make an hypothesis, young people don't feel represented. Young people continue to see European Union as something distant, something bureaucratic. So maybe they need some more role models that are close to them. And we live in the era of social networks. Ideas can spread as never before in history. And maybe young people don't see Europe as something in this kind of circle, you know. They see it as still closed in the buildings of power. And maybe where this engagement comes from.
But how can we address this? So what do you think can be some of the policies or initiatives that can tackle this phenomenon?
Creating more engagement, first of all. So in universities, in schools. What I see in Italy, which is my country, is that people are engaged, young people are engaged at the European Union level in big cities. But outside of big cities, there is not engagement, and there is a whole youth that is waiting for the project to reach them. So first of all, spreading more the voice in universities, in schools, since a younger age. And I see that, for example, this is something which in Albania is being done. Another thing, which I think in Italy played a role during the last European Union elections, was the fact that students that are living outside of their home cities weren't able of voting, or at least the procedure was more difficult.
Okay.
So
accessibility
to vote. So there needs to be done a big work on improving accessibility to vote, because at the end of the day, the younger generations, it may seem normal to say this and to make this conclusion, but the younger generations are those who will take who will replace
ownership of the future, let's say.
Yes, as we like to say very much, we will take ownership of the future. So making for them it difficult to vote, it goes against the idea of how we envisage the future, let's say. So this is what I would do, first of all. I strongly believe in education. I strongly believe in education as a tool to shape people's minds, beliefs, and lives. And from these systems. So this is why I think empowering educations, associations, young groups, peoples, civil society. At the end of the day, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, what's going on at the European Union level now, it's what young people actually feel in tune with, because we're talking about environment, we're talking about processes of digitalization. For now, it's a huge theme, the new regulatory act on artificial intelligence, the new policies that the European Union is going to do for the control of social media. These are things, as I was saying at the beginning, that are part of the garden of young people. So it is unavoidable for them to be involved. But I think it's not only on them that need to be more engaged and go beyond this qualunquismo that I was talking about before, but they need to be more engaged. There needs to be a democratization of access to politics, European Union politics in particular.
But what are the biggest hopes and fears that you hear from young people regarding the EU's direction in the next decade?
So this is a very nice question.
We are undergoing many challenges at the moment.
Yes.
But yeah, the future is unknown, and maybe the uncertainty is increasing recently.
I think in this precise historical moment, hopes and fear are walking hand in hand. So I wouldn't say that we are more in an optimistic or pessimistic time, although sometimes it might seem like we are more in a pessimistic time, but one is the other phase of the other, they reflect each other. And when it comes to fears, I would start by addressing the fears. I think young people fear about this new shift in the global dialogue that has happened recently with Trump elections. Trump elections has made it clear, put in stone, that the world order has changed. We have seen these changes in these months, in this time. So I think young people, fear about the outcome of the war in Ukraine. young people fear about rearmament, because what does it mean for the European Union to rearm in such a short time after that we were raised with the rhetoric of we live in prosperity, peace, and 75 years of peace. Mm-hmm. The other day when we had the chance to meet Commissioner Kos for enlargement, she's Slovenian, and she was talking about her life, her experience, her relationship to war. And she was saying, this really resonated with me, stuck in my mind. She was saying that she was part of the generation of flowers and peace. Mm-hmm. And in a way, maybe in a less aesthetically hippie way, okay, we are like this as well. We were born in the generation where war is something in the past. So this is why I say that European young people were touched emotionally when war in Ukraine erupted, because Ukraine is at the border of Europe. And for young people, it was something unpredictable. They had to face for the first time a reality which they only seen in movies and history books, something which they don't feel belonging to them. So I would say
they took it for granted, basically, the peace and everything.
Exactly, because living in a context of peace, meaning giving peace for granted, giving liberties for granted. And this is why I often mention how pandemics changed our perspective, because for the first time, we understood that everything is politics. Our freedom to go to a place, just I'm talking about the most basic thing, depends on some rights that we have. And I think this is positive that we were so lucky to be given it for granted. But now we are more aware. Now we know that it's no longer like that. So I think the major fears are related to this, because hearing a rearmament plan, hearing that Poland is thinking of reintroducing compulsory military service, the fears of Baltic states makes us fear.
But Carlota, Western Balkans is also in the borders of the European Union. Do you think that young people in Europe worry or think about this integral part of the European continent? Our countries, my region.
My understanding of this is that...
frankly speaking,
I think there is not much awareness of how things work in the region. I think it's not very mainstream as a topic. So I think a lot of information has to be acquired. I think...
But how?
To go back, I think there is a very optimistic view about Western Balkans, not taking into account the challenges that it presents. This is what I think. And how there should be more information.
But you think optimistic view in what terms, in what regard?
I think that the Western Balkans is a region with delicate equilibrium of powers. But this aspect is not fully known, is not fully undercovered, So I think it is the narrative, it is much more open about Ukraine, because it's the big protagonist of this time. But interesting things are going on also in the Western Balkans. I'm thinking about the investments made by China, Russian influence, Saudi Arabia. And Western Balkans is literally in the European continent. So I think there is not much awareness about these foreign actors in the region. This is what I'm...
But is there much awareness about the presence of the EU itself in the region?
It's starting to be.
Because we're talking about candidate countries and the EU has done lots of investments.
There's starting to be.
How do you think that the communication from the EU part stands in this regard?
I think there's starting to be more awareness, because ever since the European Union has relaunched their enlargement project, it has gone from 0 to 100, let's say. For instance, I'm thinking about Albania. It is true that historically Albania and Italy have had friendship ties, the famous friendship between Italy and Albania, l'amicizia tra I popoli. But recently, Albania has become super popular in Italy. A lot of people are coming, are visiting, are for tourism, for history. It doesn't matter. It's a way to start engaging in the region. As I said before, everything is political. Under the light of this new power, of this new, how can I say, energy that is being put into the enlargement project, also the narrative is changing, and people are getting closer to the region thanks to this.
Like history in general has its complexities, even when it comes to Albania and Italy. What do you think the perception of Italians towards Albanians is at the moment? How has it changed over time?
Okay, so Italy and Albania are friends, as I said before, because back in the 1990s, Italy was very hospitable to Albanian people, and this is something that your prime minister and my prime minister liked our prime ministers, who seem to be good friends, remark a lot, and I think there is some truth in this. Albanian people are very integrated in the Italian in Italy. Actually, Italy is the country which has the highest number of daily flights from Albania to Italy. And pretty much in every airport there are connections. For me, as a person from Sicily, I'm sorry to say this for my country, but this is the reality. It takes me less to go to Albania than to go to northern Italy. Okay, so to give you an idea of this. And there are some, I was talking about this with our professor the other time. There are some iconic TV characters in Italian television that are Albanian, and that they are not perceived as Albanian. You know what I mean? They are perceived as part of our, like, important part of our television, to give you an idea of the sense of melting that has happened. So as an Italian, I am happy to have the chance to come here, where I found the same level, if not more, level of hospitality, you know. So I think it's just going to be improved from now on.
Of course, and I think the Albanians that you mentioned that you see in your TVs are the real Albanians. It's us basically.
Exactly. But there is not a perception of them as foreigners, you know.
You meant in another connotation. Okay, so you mentioned the hopes and fears of young people in Europe. What about your own hopes and fears?
My hopes and fears, okay. I hope, as I said before, that unity in this unity between European countries is not going to...
United in diversity, as the motto of the European Union is?
I'm talking more about the fact that with the rise of far rights, the countries in the European Union are united in being far right, but at the end, there is this unity. So I hope that this doesn't grow into making the countries fall apart. I hope that the Ukrainian war is going to bring a positive outcome at the European Union level also, so to increase unity at the end of the day. But I fear, on the other side, that there will need to be a shift in order for the project to continue to be successful. And it's hard to predict what we will have to sacrifice.
Now, Carlota, how do you think that young people from inside and outside the region can collaborate to create a more interconnected Europe? Because we are studying EU integration and transformation in our program study at the College of Europe. And I believe that this is one of the parts that we should be focusing more. So what are the concrete ways how to facilitate this integration? So within our region,
within the region,
EU and the Western Balkans. So basically, from every perspective.
I think, as I said before, young people are already doing a lot, and I see this in international forums. There are some initiatives, for instance, like young European ambassadors or MUNs or the youth involved in, for instance, the summer school I took part in, so I would say this kind of projects, or people from the region that go to study abroad that are already contributing to this change. They're putting a lot of effort. And I believe that when it comes to youth, the change starts to spread from this type of centers, meaning youth centers, summer schools, associations, starting from here. Then I believe in the power of social networks, in the power of advertisement, and the rest does the magic in a way. In order for ideas to spread, it's going to take much less time than it would in the past. So because of this, I think this is the first layer, realistically, in which people should start and
start to collaborate more. And since we're talking about all these international experiences and young people collaborating with one another, how important is to meet the right people? Who are the right people?
That's a question that I really like. The right people. For me, right people changed my direction. I felt surrounded by people like-minded. And in this moment of my life that I am in College of Europe, Tirana, I have this feeling again. And for this, I am very, very, very happy. I think I'm lucky.
I'm also very grateful, Carlota. You have no idea. I love this community of like-minded people. It's such a growth environment that we're experiencing.
I have to say that I totally agree with you, because when you are immersed in an environment of like-minded people, discussion leads to action. We are here today having this podcast because of discussion, which became action. And some people will be able of listening to us talking, because where does it come from? From discussion, from like-minded people.
That's true.
This is the change I talk about. So who are the right people to answer your question? The people you feel you can share your ideas with, you can work on them, and together you can make an impact. These are the right people. People that don't limit you, your creativity, your ideas.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, as the saying goes.
Yes. I heard it many times, and I was a little bit skeptical about it before, because I thought it's one of the sentences that are very mainstream,
one of the cliches.
The cliche, and I have to say that instead it's totally true. It's a cliche because it's true for one time.
Carlota, I came across a video recently that it said that there is no such thing as a right or a wrong decision. It's about taking the decision and then making it right. Do you agree?
It's very curious that you asked me this question because I live like this, Of course, there is always some right and wrong in everything, but there is a lot of unpredictability in life. There is a bit of also destiny in life, So one can try. The only thing that one has to do is to be coherent with himself, herself. There is this saying which I really like, and which I think I repeat to myself quite often in my affirmations. I want to be able of sitting on my roots. So starting from this is the position of the state of mind you have to be in to make decisions. You have to be sitting on your roots, and from there you make decisions. But in the wind of life, in the winds of life, you can never know what comes to you. Yeah. So the all important thing is that you go through decision, be coherent to yourself, to your ideas, to your belief, and then make things work.
And do everything to make it work.
Make things
right.
work. Like there is I think young people especially think that if you don't make it by at 25, if your life doesn't look like this in this period of your life, you failed your purpose. I am much more of an explorator of life, I would say. So
amazing, wonderful. Now, building on our conversation about these personal influences, and as I often like to conclude this episodes, can you share with us your all-time favorite book or writer, and maybe a quote that stuck with you?
Difficult question, because you're asking me to pick. I have many. I have many, but I would say that a book that I really liked is. I like two. Can I say two?
Of course.
Okay. There is one which is I don't know the English title. It's called Il giorno della civetta, and it's from Leonardo Sciascia, who was a Sicilian intellectual. Okay. I have a great estimation of him because he is precisely one of those men who, until the end of his life, maintained these roots in a very strong way, but he was able of thinking so much out of the box, even from his room, you know. He didn't need to travel the world
to think outside of the box.
Exactly. So this is why the more I travel and the more I live, the more I think, yes, you need the right people, but then it has to come from within. Okay? So this is why I really like Il giorno della civetta. It's about the history of my land, okay? And about bold, courageous men that have tried to change things. And another book that I really like and that I would like to mention is The Unbearable Lightness of Being from Milan Kundera. I really like his philosophical reflections. You also like it. I really like his philosophical reflections, and in particular, the beginning of this book says this: if Robespierre were to go at the guillotine, so you know, to be killed every day, people would get used to it, and it wouldn't have any meaning at the end of the day because it's something that has become normal. So this reminds me of the power of people, of the cruciality of historical moments, and that some events in history might repeat but only happen once. And apply this to the moment in which we're living. Apply this in this country, and you will see why I really like this book. And
Thank you, dear Carlota. It's been amazing to dive into these insights with you, and actually, I really hope that our discussion inspires many other young people out there to think more deeply on how to contribute to the ongoing transformation of Europe. Because at the end of the day, Europe is us. It's our friends and families, it's our communities and cities, it's our countries. So I would say that there is no greater honor than serving a bigger cause. So thank you very much for everything you shared with us today. Thank you for your reflections, and thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for giving me the chance to bring these reflections. It was an honor for me, and thank you for your very insightful and intelligent questions.
Thank you, Carlota, and thanks everyone for following Tirana Talks. I'll leave you with that. Until next time, take care and keep pushing for a better tomorrow.